Hello friends! You're on the Last Days channel. Thank you so much for your engagement and support. And so, a review of events for November 24th and 25th. Taiwan, Chile. A red alert has been declared in Taiwan, Chile due to a forest fire that threatens populated areas. At the moment, the fire has covered 1 hectare of land area, but firefighters are already actively fighting the fire. The heat wave that has hit the country has seriously increased the fire danger in the region. Pingdong County, Taiwan. For the 3rd time this year, the Wandan mud volcano erupted in southern Taiwan. According to reports, the volcano's activity is increasingly moving south of Pingdong County. White Lake, Michigan, United States.
Whoa! God damn!
Powerful explosions have occurred at a gas processing plant in White Lake, Michigan, USA. Residents report that homes and businesses shook from the force of the explosions. Their power was so great that they were visible on weather satellite radar. There is no information yet on casualties or the cause of the explosions. Las Calaveras, Guatemala. A devastating landslide has occurred in Guatemala's capital city in the historic center. At least 6 people are missing, 30 people are injured and 60 others have been evacuated. The disaster occurred in the Las Calaveras sector of the El Galito colony. The landslide severely damaged 5 houses. A search for the missing is underway. Such disasters are frequent here. At the end of September this year, in a neighboring sector as a result of flooding killed and missing 10 people. In Guatemala, about 59% of the population lives in poverty, often living in precarious houses built in dangerous places such as ravines and riverbanks. Australia.
Okay, straight up and then turn right. Nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow.
A massive forest fire broke out in Western Australia on November 25th, with more than 500 firefighters fighting it for the 3rd day in a row. The fire destroyed 18 residential houses and more than 30 other buildings, including barns. The area of the fire exceeded 1.8 thousand hectares of the territory of the towns of Wanneroo and Swan.
Okay, straight up and then turn right. Nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow.
You alright, Daniel? You're good, mate? Did you get hurt?
Yeah.
Peru. Half of Peru's glaciers have already disappeared due to climate change, according to the National Institute for Ecosystem Research. The country has lost more than 56% of its glacier surface since 1962, and much of it has melted in the last 4 years. Scientists believe the main cause is a rise in average global temperatures, causing glaciers to retreat at an accelerated rate, especially in tropical areas. This has already led to the formation of several mountain ranges without glaciers, which negatively affects the country's water supply, as the first waters of many major rivers descend precisely from glaciers. In addition, the loss of glaciers increases the risks for the inhabitants of lowland areas, as huge layers of ice collapse directly into lagoons and destroy settlements. Calabria, Italy. In the southwest of Italy, there were heavy rains, which led to flooding in the region of Calabria. The water level on the streets reaches 50 to 70 centimeters, and in some places more than a meter. Dozens of cars and several buildings have been affected by the flooding. The authorities of the region have declared a state of emergency. Europe. Eastern Belgium was affected by the first snowfalls this Friday evening, especially in the region of Robertville, where the altitude reaches about 500 meters above sea level. At times, intense precipitation also affected the city of Weymouth and other parts of the eastern part of the country. It is predicted that up to about 300 millimeters of snow and rain will fall overnight. These snowfalls could lead to snow cover and complicate road conditions in the region. Locals and drivers should be prepared for possible restrictions and delays on the roads. Also this Saturday morning, the east of France is experiencing snowfall from the first heights. According to the latest reports, video footage of snow has been captured at an altitude of around 500 meters in the Sulzeren region of Alsace. Chelyabinsk, Russia. Lake Itkul in the Middle Urals attracts attention with its beauty and uniqueness. Last week it became the center of attention after a sharp warming and strong winds caused the ice to break open and break free of ice. This is a rare and atypical picture for this time. Lake Itkul is declared a natural monument and is the source of the Istok River. Dunkirk, France. Strong winds and strong waves hit the North Sea in Dunkirk this Friday, causing flooding on the beach. Due to the strong winds, there are fallen trees and downed power lines. As a result, an orange alert has been issued in the north for possible flooding. According to local authorities, the situation is under control, but residents and visitors to the region are advised to be extremely cautious and follow the instructions of emergency services. Central Java, Selo, Indonesia. Heavy rains caused severe flooding in the village of Selo, located in the Boyolali district of Central Java in Indonesia. Houses and infrastructure were damaged as a result of the disaster. Local residents left their homes and were evacuated to safety. Work is currently underway to eliminate the consequences of flooding. St. Petersburg and Moscow. The real winter has begun in central Russia. Heavy snowstorms took over the whole northwest of the country, and in St. Petersburg in the morning it snowed so much that visibility became almost zero. In the afternoon, snowfalls began to make their way farther south, and snowdrifts began to grow in Bryansk, Smolensk, Kaluga, and other cities. In the evening, precipitation intensified in Moscow itself. Snowfalls were brought by an active Atlantic cyclone, which caused trouble on the roads and cancelled several flights at Moscow airports. St. Petersburg has found itself in snow, and traffic is complicated on the roads due to the heavy snowfall. All services are working in a reinforced mode, and the Russian Hydrometeorological Center has declared a yellow level of weather danger in Moscow. The city is stuck in traffic jams, and the snow on the roads has caused dozens of accidents. Emergency Situations Ministry employees ask residents of St. Petersburg to be more careful. The number of victims of ice has already exceeded 10 people. In this regard, the capital's utilities have gone on high alert, and all residents should be prepared for unforeseen circumstances. Brazil. Powerful hurricanes accompanied by heavy rains have led to the overflow of rivers and flooding of settlements in Brazil. According to the Ministry of Civil Defense, more than 30,000 people were affected, more than 1,600 of them were evacuated from their homes. Roads flooded and streets turned into rushing rivers. The weather caused massive tree falls and power outages in entire neighborhoods. 3 people have died and another is missing. At the moment, rescue services continue to work in flooded areas to help victims and prevent possible accidents. Krasnodar region, Russia. A few days ago, the Krasnodar region was hit by heavy rains, which led to serious consequences. In the town of Goroyaki Klyak, an emergency regime was declared due to extreme weather conditions. In one night, this settlement was hit by as much rainfall as it usually falls in a whole month. Heavy rain and wind caused debris flows from the mountains, which led to flooding on the federal highway. Some sections of the road were completely flooded, and water even penetrated into houses in some places. In this regard, dozens of residents were evacuated, and Emercom employees are helping the victims. Also in the Tuapse region, a mudflow came down. This led to partial blockage of traffic on the federal highway M4 Don. As a result of flooding on one of the highways in the Seversky district, traffic was also restricted, as the river overflowed over the bridge. The authorities are taking all necessary measures to eliminate the consequences and restore normal traffic on the roads. Kenya. Severe flooding continues in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia, caused by heavy rains for the second month in a row. Due to heavy rainfall, hundreds of roads have been washed away and a huge number of settlements remain cut off. Nomads are forced to give up their way of life, and before the flooding there was a drought for several consecutive seasons, causing the number of hungry people to increase markedly. According to the latest figures, more than 100 people have died in East Africa since the floods began, with 500,000 people at risk of homelessness. The UN predicts a massive famine in Somalia, which could affect 4.3 million people in the coming months. The situation in the Horn of Africa is the most serious in decades. Dalaman, Turkey. A powerful tornado swept through the city of Dalaman in Turkey's Mugla province. On the video of eyewitnesses, you can see how the strong wind tears off the roofs of houses. According to preliminary data, there are no casualties. The Sun. The Sun is covered with huge spots that could affect our planet. The spots have already generated new dark areas and formed a whole archipelago of sunspots. In cross-section they occupy about 200,000 kilometers, which is 15 times the diameter of the Earth. Scientists are anxiously waiting for the backside of the Sun to fall into the field of view of coronagraphs. If it is also dotted with spots, then in December the Earth may plunge into a continuous geomagnetic storm. While the spots are warming up, M-class flares have already gone, and in the first half of next week are predicted to be quite high activity indices. However, the Sun will soon begin to strike even harder, and the flares will reach the highest X-class. This situation is alarming for scientists who monitor the Sun and its activity, and the spots are now positioned in such a way that they could affect our planet.